Wednesday. Welcome to Crew Talk, brought to you by Shoots.video. I'm Sarah Marintz, and today we are going to talk about the Seattle Film Summit, and we have Ben, the founder, here with us, and we also have Marissa. And hello to the both of you. Thank you so much for being here with us. And so we are going to dive right into it with some questions for the both of you. And as always, with the questions, either of you can answer. Feel free to expand upon the questions and your answers. And for anyone who's watching, if you have questions during this, you can throw them into our chat box. We will be getting to them towards the end. And we have some giveaways, like we did last week, a very fun giveaway. We have a couple giveaways at the end of this webcast, so you will want to stay tuned. But thank you guys again for being here. And let's just jump in. So how are you doing the virtual process?
So we're starting out with the simple question, right?
Yes.
What is this thing? Just tell us that first of all. What are you guys doing over there?
Yeah, I can. So we'll start at the 50,000 foot view, and then we'll come back to 2020, which is everybody's favorite year. Yay!
Yes, yay 2020.
So I got into the film industry here in the Northwest probably about 12 years ago. And I came out of like the private sector. I was a project manager, and I had just gotten married, and I was about 30, and I turned to my wife and I'm like, I think I want to be an actor. And she laughed at me, as she should have.
Yeah.
But at that point in time, I didn't really have this idea of going to LA and jumping into that huge pond. I just wanted to kind of understand what the film industry was about and kind of live in our little satellite industry here. Well, about 3 years into that, I had started out as acting, and then I got pulled into some producing, and I started navigating the local industries, being on the advisory board for Washington Filmworks and having films in SIFF and working with Northwest Screenwriters Guild. And it's a smaller community here in Washington, so it's easy to kind of get a hold of that landscape pretty quickly. But I would say about 3 to 5 years into it, I just felt like we were overly siloed. So I worked with a couple partners, and I'm like, what can we do that can maybe bring all the organizations locally together? And that's what we came up with, the Seattle Film Summit. So
nice.
That started in 2013. And if you can imagine, the first year was like 100 people in a small room, and just some speakers, producers and directors and writers, and just talking about how we can move the industry forward here in the Northwest. And so fast forward to 2019. So this is our 7th year, but last year, meeting in person was our breakthrough year. And we'd always wanted it to kind of not just be a networking session, but we wanted to turn it into like a micro film market. We wanted to bring opportunity from LA to here to the Northwest, so that the filmmakers don't always have to go to the bigger hubs to pitch their product or find opportunity. So last year was our big year. We had 5 film offices fly in. We had Canadian producers coming in to teach American filmmakers how to utilize Canadian incentives. And we had about 800 attendees. And it was our biggest year. I think, am I missing anything in that 40,000 foot view, Marissa?
No, I think you hit everything.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we were all excited. We had showrunners from big shows in. We had.
What's a showrunner?
A showrunner basically is the executive producer of a TV series.
Okay.
More often than not, that person will be the lead of the writing team, but they have like the Bible of the world within that TV series, and so they just guide.
They help keep it consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, because directors and writers and all those people are coming in and out of the game all the time. Yeah, but the showrunner sort of understands the overall view of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you ever get time to have a beer with a showrunner that's been on a major network show, like that, trust me, it's worth paying for the price of their beer, because you will learn all kinds of stories about what happens behind the scenes on all those shows.
I'm friends with all the showrunners from The Simpsons. That's sort of what I know.
Are you serious?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 of them. They don't know who I am. They have no idea who I am, but I know who they are. So yes, so I'd sort of follow their exploits here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting world as a showrunner. Well, film's an interesting world in general, but but yeah, nonetheless, we had the other thing that was really exciting for us is there's kind of a disconnect in Washington State between our state leadership and what the film industry can do for the economy. And so we've been working a little bit to kind of bring those threads together. So last year was real successful for us as far as I think we had about 25 state leaders. We had a couple senators there. We had one of our keynotes from our King County executive, and King County is our biggest county in the state of Washington. So we were all pumped and jazzed. We'd gone over that hump and into 2020.
Yeah, that's cool. It sounds like you guys were really running a multifaceted thing up there that brought a lot to the table for, just filmmakers that might never be able to meet any of those people and understand the sort of large ramifications of what they could be doing, what they could be bringing to the place. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the goal was really not to just jump into one lane too, right? We have an actors showcase, we have a pitch panel playoffs, we have filmmaker showcases, we had screenings and educational panels on pretty much every film topic you could find. So the goal was not to just, please one lane of the constituency, but to really provide something for everybody in that whole production life cycle.
Very cool. Marissa, can you give us a little history on how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, so let's see. I'm born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I've, lived here my whole life and I didn't want to leave. So I went to art school here. I went to Stanford Brown, graduated in 2014. And actually, Ben was one of my portfolio reviewers. So we had like 3 professionals come in and we showed our work, presented it. And ever since then, I've just been his sidekick, I guess, doing a lot of content creation for him. Then him getting me into the film industry because I went to school for digital media. So, I do a lot of graphic design, motion graphics, editing and like videography as well. And I have my own production company now as Sliger Food Creative Media. We're on our 3rd year. And ever since Ben started the Film Summit, I've been helping him with all the marketing content, like all the social media, graphics, programming. And then now we're doing it all virtually, which is more graphics needed. So that's kind of how I started with Ben, or met Ben. And then we've just been kind of on this ride together, doing a lot of short films, producing a lot of content, and now we're here.
Marissa, what way have you found is the best way to reach out and get new people to come to the summit?
Well, this year I've kind of been doing a lot of promotion on our social media. I've been more interactive. That's kind of been my role as like the marketing director for the Film Summit. And because the last couple of years, I've worked on the website and kind of been more behind the scenes, not so much being a director. And then this year was kind of my step forward and been outreaching, and then having a bunch of awesome volunteers helping us create content and managing that. So it's been awesome.
Very cool. So how has the virtual process been? I mean, I imagine it's been very different. This 2020 as a whole has been very different, but how has it been?
It's been a very good learning process, that's for sure. Because we all had to, learn and innovate and do something different and make sure that we stand out compared to everyone else. And I think that was kind of like our biggest challenge was like, do we move forward or do we cancel? Like a lot of these big events we're canceling. So, but Ben kept going and we just, we're riding this all together and we made it so far.
Why didn't you cancel? Like, what was the main thing that maybe Ben was like, I'd love to, this is hard, this is not fun, I don't want to do this, but I really need to do this because of this reason?
Well, I think we had just a lot of momentum for like filling the void. So we started this kind of live stream podcast, panels, inviting a bunch of people from all around the world, around the nation, and just interviewing people. And we've just been getting a lot of great reviews and people have been following us and wanting more. So we just wanted to keep that momentum going. I don't know, Ben, do you want to speak more on that?
No, I don't want to speak to it at all. Justin, the answer to that question is, have you ever bashed your head against the wall and survived?
Yeah, I
So,
made multiple feature films. So yes, absolutely.
so,
That's where we're at.
yeah, I think it's a little bit of just stubbornness and the refusal to retreat.
Okay.
Pretty bottom line.
That's good. And it puts you guys in a position next year, 2 years from now, whatever it happens to be, to where you have this sort of platform to go virtual, to be able to spread it out to all the other people that can't be there. And in addition to getting all the people that are there, because you already have that platform built. So that seems like you guys are actually in a very advantageous position going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of Marissa's point, we didn't plan this, but what's interesting is that in the state of Washington, Marissa didn't even know if I told you this, but we've been meeting with a lot of government officials. Like, again, a lot of this, we are trying to tie into, like, we've got the director of Washington State Arts Commission being a part of it, and the Washington Arts Alliance. All these kind of civic entities are now jumping on, but we are probably one of 3 major events in the state of Washington based around entertainment that have continued. All the rest of them have canceled for 2020.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
The stupid stubbornness part, what's rewarding us right now is the fact that we're, the beacon right now in the state of the only arts organization that's really trying. I shouldn't say the only, but one of the event-based organizations that's just moving it forward and really trying to still give content and encouragement to our community.
I think you need that. People are craving that right now. They want that content. I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amen.
So what lessons have you learned along the way that could maybe help our audience, that, like, if they're involved in similar ventures moving forward?
You want to take that one first, Marissa?
You go.
I'm sure there have been a lot, maybe bumps in the road that you've been able to learn from.
My approach to as somebody who came into the industry kind of late in the game anyway, my approach has always just been, don't stop at the first obstacle. Find a way around it, right? And then when you get to the second obstacle, get better about going around obstacles. So my approach to the whole entertainment industry has always been, that's what I am as a producer. And it's the reason I'm a good producer, is because the big obstacle comes, and like, what, I don't see the obstacle. I see the 5 solutions that we have around the obstacle. So if people who are running these events, and I think inevitably a lot of people that run these type of events are also, directors or producers or in the film industry in some aspect, but man, just be stubborn, learn to innovate, and you will always find that little pot of gold that you weren't even looking for around those obstacles. And more often than not, what happens by going around the obstacle that you thought was going to stop you is a blessing, or it's something you didn't even imagine could happen for your event. So
Something even better. It's added to it in a better way. Oh yeah.
That's great.
That would be my number one thing to say.
Yeah. I think as being like producers, we really had to innovate and be creative. And I think like that's what we're really good at, is just coming up with like creative solutions. So like being able to do this and really push forward has really brought everyone together during this crazy time.
I'll tell you, our number one obstacle, especially early on in the process, was thinking and hoping that we still might be able to meet in person, right? So back in March, you got till November, and I don't even need to dive into the swimming pool of all the misinformation and how we all just felt lost, right? We had no answers. So I think the biggest thing that has hurt us this year was those 2 or 3 months of holding on to the hope that maybe we can still do this in person and still do it in the model that we're familiar with. And so that was our number one problem this year. I think that took time from us.
Yeah, because I don't think we really decided this until July. No, later than that. August.
So you shifted things July, August, and somebody actually just asked me when and where is the summit? Because I know it'll be online, but when exactly is it?
Well, it's November 1st through 22nd.
It was a short
And,
amount of time that you had to kind of
Yeah.
everything.
well, and so we have 21 days of content, right? Well, and it's not every day. So we have like
Yeah.
they're Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Mhm.
And the reason we decided to do that was because we didn't want to. We all know about the Zoom fatigue, right? And we didn't want to have like these 2 days of 10 hours in a row where people are just in front of their PCs. So what we decided to do is do the 22 days and make it spread out the education, but also really infuse the networking, infuse the showcases, so it's more interactive, and then people can get bite-sized, chunks, tune in, tune out, and then our other big thing is that even if you miss something within those 22 days, you will get, if you purchase your ticket, you'll get access to all the content 60 days post summit also.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So our platform, in the rawest fashion, is basically it's a private streaming provider. So it's like video on demand. It's like going to Netflix and picking what you want to watch and then watching it. And it'll start out as a zero library, and then as every day goes on, the library will expand because everything will be recorded and put up there on the platform.
That's really cool. What are some of the ones you're most excited about personally?
The panels. Well, you know what? I will tell you. Everybody talks about this, so I'm the white guy in the room, but talking about equity and all that. But I am honestly so proud of our lineup because we have a Native Voices panel, and we have so many women in film and women in film variations, not just a token, here's our woman in film panel. We have writing believable female characters, and then we have another panel that's about building and strengthening the female filmmaker community, and then just panels on building or supporting underserved communities. So we have a lot of opportunity and equity that's built into the summit that I'm really proud of.
Yeah, same. I mean, if you actually go to our website and look at our guests and panelists, you'll see there are more women than men.
That's
really
exciting.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I've lost
I
track.
made it on purpose. I was trying to go just to see how many people we would actually have. And we definitely have more women. Mm-hmm.
We're up to 130 panelists right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Yeah, and it's exhausting, but it's also fun. That's really cool. I didn't even know that we had.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
That's great news.
And Sarah, to answer that question fully, SeattleFilmSummit.com is where you can go to find out more about what we're doing and all.
Perfect. And Blake actually just dropped that in the chat box so everybody can find the link right there. And he put November 1st to the 22nd. So that is in the chat box, which is perfect. Everyone can go visit that after this webinar. And so, yeah. And so a question kind of about, this is for both of you to answer, I guess, individually, but why is filmmaking important to you at its core?
I went first last time, Marissa.
Oh, Marissa, I guess it's your
Whoa,
turn.
I'm first. I mean, filmmaking is so important to me because I grew up with film, and I didn't really realize how much I loved film until I graduated college. Because I went into it more in the design aspect, because my mom is a graphic designer. She's been for 30, 40 plus years. So I kind of was just following her footsteps, but then realizing that, video is going to be bigger in the long run, and then just creating content in graphic design. So I took this film route and realizing I love film. I grew up with Disney, watching movies. Now I think my obsession is series. That's what I've been really into. But I think it's really important to keep this creativity and to be able to storytell, whether it's in a documentary and nonfiction, fiction, either or. I still am pretty passionate about this type of storytelling for myself.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, actually, it's very personal for me. I was born and raised in a very small town in southern Idaho. It did not have a lot of culture, and uh, in all honesty, I was part of a very inclusive religion that wasn't really about the world, right? It was about our faith and keeping the bubble really small. And so I was raised without art. We didn't have music in the house, and I remember I did get to see Star Wars, and I snuck out and watched Star Trek, and I got to sneak out and see a couple of these things. And I remember I was like, "Whoa, what is this stuff?" And then I think I snuck and watched a couple of Academy Awards or award show, and I couldn't get through any award without crying for the person that received the award because I could see how much it meant to them. And so it wasn't until 30, I think I already told you guys this, that I decided to just like, I need some art. I need art. And then, and I'm about creativity. I love film because it encompasses so many creative silos, right? There's 30 different art forms that goes into a film. And I just think that that's magical. But for me, and this, it sounds stupid in my head, but I didn't know the human that I could have been or can be without getting that creative aspect into my art, into my life. I was empty, and it affected me in ways that, like, my memory. Like, I remember growing up, I had some learning disabilities, and I kid you not, when I started learning lines and I started, producing and putting things together and having art and expanding my mind, a lot of that shit went away. It was really interesting. So for me, healthcare is creativity.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear. It really does bring out something different in everyone if they're gonna like be able to give themselves over to really being artistic and really tapping into what is different about them as a unique person, and really put that out there to the world, which like makes you subject to all the other things that come along with releasing yourself, which is really neat. Doug Morris, one of our good friends here at Blair Media, he says he's from Lewiston originally in Idaho. Yeah, there you go. Born in Jerome.
Jerome, Idaho. Raised in Wendell, baby. No insult to the culture in Wendell. Wendell was a beautiful little town. There was a lot of good memories there. But
you got to blossom later. That's part of the whole process, right?
Different journey for everyone, right?
Yeah, totally.
So where do we go from there, Sarah?
All right. So I was reading because we had a question in our chat box. So I guess I'll go ahead and ask. It's from Mary. Hi, Mary. Thank you for joining us tonight. So was there any kind of process that you were forced to streamline because of COVID that has actually been helpful, maybe that you will incorporate into your future projects?
I don't know about. There's always process improvement that goes on with an internal team that can get better, right? And I think obviously being in a digital world has improved our access to each other. Like, hey, let's jump on a Zoom. But if I'm just going to speak personally, the thing that has changed for me is knowing that every other creative organization in the world right now is being forced to evolve and innovate. And so taking advantage of that opportunity and reaching out to all these film festivals and going, hey, why don't we collaborate? Or what's going on with you? I can tell you what's going on with us. We can learn from each other. And so I think we've always been good at growing our partnerships. As the Seattle Film Summit, from 2013 as a grassroots to 2019, we've grown fairly well. The 2020 was just like I don't even know what to do with all the partnerships we've got coming in. It's like, and learning from these other organizations. So I would say, I don't know about streamlining, but learning our access to the entire world will be rolled over into every year moving forward.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. I just think that it's just opened more doors just because we are able to communicate, through Zoom and go out, jump on calls instantly and be able to build our community virtually, which I thought was like really cool on what we had to do. But like, yeah, I agree with everything that Ben said.
That
Awesome.
rarely happens, by the way.
So educational panels are important, but what do you want people to ultimately walk away with?
Well, that's probably a little bit different answer for everybody. Did you want to go first again, Marissa?
No, you can go. You can speak on that.
Well, okay. Again, this is it's funny how, when in art we're told write what you know, and actors can often be better at acting if they're in a role they're very comfortable with, because it's closer to what they are. For me, I was a filmmaker who wanted to get access to opportunity without having to go to LA, right? So for me, I've tried to infuse peeling through a lot of the gatekeepers that you might experience in LA. And I'm going to use this word and I'm going to regret using it, but there's a little bit of elitism also. Like, you can't get through certain doors unless you have a certain amount of credits or,
Sure.
and those gatekeepers at those doors, because they're those gatekeepers, whether they do it purposely or not, or maybe they were treated that way when they were trying to go through those gates. It's their kingdom, and it gives them a little bit of power. So I think what I love about the Seattle Film Summit, or what I've always wanted to be, is easier access and peeling away a little bit of that elitism, and just giving people, like, you're one meeting or one chat session away from talking with somebody that can really help your career. And that's my goal for the summit, personally.
Yeah, Ben, and that sort of dovetails into another question. You've obviously reached out to a lot of people you don't know and have never met to ask them for something. What do you reflect a little bit on that process? Because I know as like a 22-year-old or something, and you're just getting into filmmaking, you don't even know where to start. Like, it's hard to talk to someone about shooting, about doing a production at their restaurant. It's hard to even know where to get actors sometimes. Like, all that stuff seems daunting. Like, reflect a little bit on that, on your process and how you go to talk to people like state senators or whatever.
That one's easy for me. And I think that we as artists have a problem with it, but it's really simple. Provide value, or offer to provide value, before you ask for value. And that can be really simple, right? Don't just meet somebody and stuff your resume or your project at them and go, hey, you gotta go look at my stuff, man, it's great. Like, get to know them, find out about their life, find out about who they are, who they are as a human being. Like, find a human connection before you start going down the lane of what can you do for me. And I think for me, I just can't echo how much value that has provided for me. And I often, sometimes, I will go years. I will meet a contact and I'll go, man, God, that person could really help this project. But I will go years without asking them for value, just for building up that relationship. And so that when the time comes, they'll go, oh yeah, Ben knew me for 7 years and he's never asked me for anything. And now he's asking me for something. So maybe I should pay attention. Offer value before you ask for value.
I love that so much. I love that quote so much. And like, just to hear it and then like reflect on it, like, that is just so good. I'm going to write it down because I love that. That is great advice. But it's great advice, not just for, your specific career, but for every career across the board. You can apply that. And I just love that. That's brilliant.
Well, and being patient too. The second part of that is waiting 7 years, like you said, to be able to actually plug someone into something. And because, as sort of an older-ish filmmaker in Fresno here, it's like there are times I have an opportunity to give back to, a 22-year-old, like I said in the example. And I want to do that for someone I think that has potential to do something else good with the gear or the help or the location or whatever I can offer them. I want to do that as someone who's already been through that stuff, because I want to like repay the people that I thought I was at the time, sort of idea. And so I think for people asking questions out there who are young or who have never done something like the people you're approaching, they want to help most of the time. They want to be able to repay. They just want to be able to do it to the right person who's doing it for the right reasons. And like you're saying, offering value makes those reasons much more apparent usually. And so that's like the best way to start that relationship.
Yeah, well said, Justin. Well said. And you know, we're getting we've been given a bad rap as artists, right? Like I look at artists and sometimes we're so desperate to get our content made. We're so desperate for that approval. And that's because life is this freeway that is the lawyers and the doctors that everybody's put on. It's college, it's this, it's the family, it's the 401k. And as artists who want to do it for a career, we've really just jumped on this off ramp and we're on this gravel road, and which is harder to go further on the gravel road. But more than that, we're taught that there's less opportunity. So unfortunately, we kind of stomp down the other artists. We're climbing over each other when we shouldn't be climbing over each other. We should be coming together to climb over the freeway, not over each other. So it just becomes a bad habit. It's a bad habit. Will you look at my stuff? Will you give me the opportunity? Isn't it great? And instead, we need to really just take one step back and start viewing everybody as human beings again, and appreciating the fact that this person's going to act. The person you meet that may give you opportunity, the value starts as seeing them as a human, and then them realizing that you are seeing them as a human. And then there's a connection there, and then it's a real connection. And if you can start a relationship with a real connection, then the possibilities are endless.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah, and that's going to go for any human relationship, not just if you're trying to get them to show up at your film festival. Yeah, clearly.
Amen.
I think you could also be a motivational speaker, because I'm like getting lost in like just listening to all the nuggets of wisdom that you're dropping here. They're like perfect quotes for life.
Totally. That's why he's my mentor.
You have a great mentor. Yes. That's wonderful. Marissa, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Oh gosh, what am I adding? What was the question again?
I don't even remember, Justin. I can't remember the question that you asked that led to this, or if I asked the question. I've kind of forgotten that I have to ask questions. I was just.
I forgot the question too.
I forgot the question, but I mean, kind of going off of what Ben had said, like it really is like just working together. Like even when I was going into, like, I guess you call it film school or art school, we all wanted to do different things. It's like, well, how come we guys like aren't working together to make something awesome? And I think that's what really, like, you know, with working with Ben, we were very collaborative with everyone and all of our members, which I really appreciate. So we're not like stepping on each other's toes. No, there's no competition. It's like we are all going to do our part, work together, and make an awesome event.
Do you have any pieces of advice, or maybe something that you learned early on in your career that you would tell someone who is trying to become you or try to do what you're doing now that would really help, that if you knew when you were starting out, it would help you out?
I would say keep going. That's the goal. That's like my ultimate quote, to just not give up. I think that's like the main thing, because I think a lot of people, they get stuck and they don't know what to do. So then they just kind of quit and they're like, well, I can make money elsewhere, so why don't I just do this? It's like, no, if you just keep going, keep networking, keep meeting people, and expand, you know, your friendships with everyone, you will go further than I think you could. And then also Ben said at my portfolio review, I think he said, if you do the thing that you say you're going to do and you do it, you will get further in life than anyone else who doesn't do it. I think that's what you said. Yeah.
Ben, did you say that?
Did you say that, Ben?
Like, I remember that.
Did you say that?
But I did. I did it. Did everything you asked me to. Look where we're at.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here today.
Ben, have you been to many film festivals? Has that been like a part of your process, or do you sort of break the mold and do it your own way?
No, I've been to a few. It's not like I've traveled the world to film festivals. One of the first film festivals I went to was Holly Shorts Film Festival, and that was my first I think major film festival other than our Seattle International Film Festival, and I met I met Theo and Daniel, who are two of my closest partners to this day. And what we do with Holly Shorts is, and this is just from some white schmuck coming up to them going, "Hey, I want a partner, guys." You know, how many weirdos say that to them? But, 7 years later, Marissa produces, we provide a production grant. So the Holly Shorts short screenplay competition winner gets a production grant where they fly up to Washington in the calendar year, and we shoot their film, and then it gets an automatic screening at opening night at Holly Shorts the following year. And Marissa produces these, and I think we're on our fifth one, but each year they just get better and better and better, and they're award-winning films. And again, back to that partnership thing, it's like, speaking of value, Holly Shorts is, the premieres are in the Grauman's Theater, which is a very, very, it's like the famous theater.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So I get to take that information to the best filmmakers in our state and the best crew members and go, "Hey, this is just a passion project, but we get an automatic screening at the most famous theater next year." So I'm able to just get, the best team, and Marissa, Marissa will act humble and nice on this screen, but like she is a workforce. She is a storm, and I saw that when we were at college, and that speaks to knowing your tribe when you see it and keeping them close and trying to take care of them. I covered about 3 subjects in that little rant right there.
Yeah, it's very true. It's like there's a lot of times in the creative process where we're just trying to get stuff done, which is like way more logistical than creative, where you just get so bogged down and you're like, "This is awful. I'm terrible at this. I suck at everything." And so you have to have sort of good people around you to be like, "Oh, you're not that bad. Also, I'll take care of this. It's fine. Just show up tomorrow and it'll be good. We'll push through." And that's like super crucial to having that team around you to help you push forward when it's just straight up hard and it feels like it's thankless.
Truth.
And I wanted to throw this out to our panel right now. If anyone is listening, to our audience, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and throw them in the chat box now. We'll get to them in a few minutes, and also our fun giveaway. And so one of my last questions I have here is, where do you see the film festival industry going moving forward?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Rick, you go.
That's tough. I mean, gosh, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I think, especially with COVID and having to, like, depending on where you are and what state you live in, like, there's different rules and regulations for filmmaking and how many crew members you can have. So I think, like, really it's, before you'd have like 30, 40 people on set. Now it's kind of like, well, we need to scale back again and figure out how to wear multiple hats instead of have individual. I mean, everyone will have their own role, but you won't have as many PAs or as much help as you would. And I think we really I think scaling back is going to be really interesting for indie filmmakers. And I think it's going to be actually good for us because we do wear multiple hats and we are like really scrappy when it comes to filmmaking. So I don't know. I think indie filmmakers are going to kind of come up during this COVID time.
It probably brings opportunities too, because a lot of times when someone with money finds someone else who they think has talent and up and comer, then they just want to throw money at them and they want to have a big set with a bunch of people that they don't know and have no reason to want there in a lot of ways. And then they sort of get overwhelmed by that whole machine. I know a lot of people, David Fincher, for example, on his first production of Aliens 3, very much felt like that. It was like this big machine around him. He didn't care about it. He didn't want any of that stuff. He just wanted to make the movie he wanted to make. And so we will see interesting things in the coming years because everyone had to be an auteur again. And that's largely gone away. So I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting even for like Hollywood. They have really big sets. What's going to happen? I really do think indie filmmakers are going to take over. And I think film festivals are going to be the place. So
yeah, I can't speak to like core film festivals because that's really not my lane, but we're like a hybrid, right? We're an industry expo. This is really the first year that we were actually on Film Freeway and have a full lineup of screenings. So this is actually a little bit new territory for us. So we're a micro market expo and a festival, but for me personally, I'll give up a secret here. And this is maybe where they could all be going, is at least the last 3 years. My ambition, my goal is that we become our own production life cycle, right? So basically, we know we can produce, we know we can make films now. We now have a solid development arm. We partner with the Bigfoot Script Challenge, which has amazing fellowships and it has amazing writers. And then out of that Bigfoot Script Challenge, we pull out annually 16 writers, put them in pods, and then they work together to refine their scripts. So we've got development, we've got production capabilities, and now we're pulling in distributors to be at the summit. So, our goal, or I should say, where we want to take it, is we're appointing Summit Select winners this year. So why do we need to go to, we'll always need to collaborate with the larger markets, but if we can develop, produce at a very high level, and that's the key there, the high level, that's the tricky part, but develop, produce, and distribute all within our branding, that's to me kind of my utopia, because then we don't have to sell out, right? And selling out is a loose term to throw out there. I'm not saying that you sell out when you sell your film to anybody, but it would be lovely to be able to manage the whole process, keep our standards, keep our ethics, and keep our value in the whole process instead of having to hand it off at some point.
Sure.
Yeah, that's so great. And a lot of the process of making a film has so little to do with making the actual film. Like, so little of it shows up on the screen. We've talked about that in previous episodes of Crew Talk. And so being able to handle a lot of that stuff on your own makes it to where all those roadblocks that don't really need to be there, a lot of times they're just there so that people in Hollywood can make a cut off of it, or feel like they have some input, or worry about their own job. You can sort of take the super freeway right past that, and that's a pretty good place to be, I think. So that's awesome what you guys are able to do.
And this is the time to do it. I mean, speaking to your audience and whoever's listening to filmmakers, like, now's the time to innovate. Now's the time to take whatever art form you've learned and realize that it's the wild, wild west again. Like, opportunity abounds. You just have to kind of be fearless and just move the ball forward.
So we have a question from Robin. Hi, Robin. And she wants to know, what is the time for beginning to end to make a film?
Like a feature-length film, short film?
Probably a feature film.
Yeah, I'd say feature.
In my case, it's 11 years for Brick Madness.
Yeah.
Coming out this December. Watch it.
I would say years. Yeah, that would be very accurate.
Well, yeah, that's a great question, Robin. But it's also, if you want to say shooting a film, so like a 12 to 15 minute short film would normally take a crew 3 to 4 days to make. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you start, if you're $100 million, $200 million Hollywood film, I think that's anywhere between 30 and 90 to 120 days that they're actually shooting. Low budget feature films, I think it's a tight schedule for 19 days. Would you agree?
Yeah, a lot of times it's around 3 weeks or so. Is like, we know that we're only getting 3 takes. We know that we're only getting 4 or 5 setups per scene, but we're going to be able to get through that on a 95-minute script or whatever. So it's like, you don't have extra time, and you sort of budget a little bit more for certain scenes because you know that those are going to take longer. You want to spend time, or they're pivotal or whatever it happens to be. And the rest of it, you're like just sort of blocking and tackling, as one of my friends used to say, to make sure that you have what you need to tell the story. And if you could have twice that much time, it would be 25% better, but it wouldn't be twice as good. So there's sort of a sweet spot in there where it ends up being for a lot of indie productions, I would say.
And Robin, I think in the Hollywood system, which is, that's its own little thing. I I think the movies that you see come out in theaters were probably put into their development process at a very minimum 3 to 5 years before it hit the screen. But for us indie filmmakers, like Justin was saying, you have a very tight schedule, you have a lot of limitations, but the more you prepare in pre-production, you help alleviate the errors that you'll find in production. The more effort, the more every question's answered, a moment is accounted for, and that can take, that's still another year process. And then you get into post-production.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this, Justin?
This is a mess. This is horrible. I hate this. I want to leave forever. That happens, and then you go in and out of it. A movie I worked on for a couple of days on a movie that ended up on the Sci-Fi Channel called The Zombies 2, and so it's exactly what you would think it would be. It's a zoo of zombies or zombies zoo, one of the two. Anyway, that basically was up on TV 2 months, a month and a half after they shot it. It was a crazy short schedule, like on TV, network television. Yeah, so they were editing while they were shooting and putting it together. I was not too much, and I wasn't involved with any of the editing or anything like that. And it was just a sort of a day player on the movie. But very interesting. So it can go super fast when you're gonna make that kind of movie. I would say
Timelines are crazy.
Money fixes everything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
it polishes everything enough to be watchable.
Those of us that don't have the money, we have to be very, very smart about every step of the process.
To my audience here, I'm going to quickly have you put your numbers into the chat box for our giveaway. So if you want to go ahead and pick a number between 1 through 100, just one number, throw it in the chat box. And I'm going to talk about our giveaways here. Our panelists, I'm sorry, you can't play. Ben, Marissa, you can't win the gift card. And I think you guys will have an into the festival. So yeah. So yes, everybody just go ahead and throw your numbers in. So we actually have 4 giveaways today. The first one is going to be our $50 B&H gift card and a ticket for the summit. And then we're going to be giving away 3 additional tickets after that. So just like last week, I have my fun little pretty random number generator here. So I want to make sure last call. Does everybody have their number in? Looks like last call. 3,
Give them just
2,
a second. Yeah, they're still tickling in.
All right. 1 through 100.
Ben cheated.
I was like, wait a second. That can't happen.
He's good at film festivals, not so much numbers.
Math was not your strong subject. I wish I could play. I would love a B&H gift card. I mean, who doesn't love B&H? You literally can get everything there. I mean, have you guys ever been to the B&H store in New York City?
No, that would be a goal. I haven't.
We hear tales of it. Anyone who hasn't gone only hears their friends talking smug, hushed tones about it when they get back about how great it was.
It is crazy. Like literally, like you buy something and then like it's on like a trolley thing above you, and then all of a sudden you like walk up to the counter and it's their bag for you and you pay for it. But like literally, they have everything, like everything, every section. You can play with everything. It is just like Disneyland for us, I guess.
Tubes. It's all tubes with stuff you want.
I shouldn't go in it because I would lose all my money.
Because you will spend all of your money, like all of your money. So but it is very cool. Yeah, Robin, I guess you've been there, Robin. It is wild. It is wild and very, very fun.
Am I identifying my age if I say I still don't even know what you're talking about?
B&H?
No, it's not. No, it's run by a bunch of
producer.
80-year-old Hasidic Jews. It's not a young man's game at all. No, it's a very interesting place. No, it's just B&H Photo is the place that has all the audio, video, and photo stuff. It started more like photo. But you can buy normal, consumer electronics. It's a Best Buy too, essentially. Yeah. But it's this place in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's very
Ben doesn't buy that. He hires people that get that. Buy stuff from B&H.
Yes, it is a New York City landmark. Yes, it is. So, all right. for the B&H gift card and ticket number 1. You can see I have 0 on my screen here. We're going to hit randomize. All right. 80. We have 80 for our first one. No,
Didn't someone say
80.
Somebody
That's
put in-
Jasmine.
80.
Jasmine said 80 exactly.
Jasmine, congratulations, Jasmine. I have
Wow.
confirmation that it is you. So, okay.
Oh,
All right. For ticket number 2, a ticket to the Seattle Film Summit. Here we go. And randomize 18. I don't know if we have an 18 or someone close to it. Corbin will, I think it was Cheryl.
Yeah, Cheryl, sure. She can
Cheryl.
tell us how we're pronouncing your name wrong.
Cheryl. I think it's Cheryl. Okay. Ticket number 3. Here we go. Randomize. 85. Got a lot of 8s today. 85. Cheryl said yes. We did pronounce her name properly. Yeah. 85. Do we have 85? Jim Richardson. All right. And for ticket number 4, I can shake it to randomize it too. 38.
oh,
All right.
Deepak.
Deepak.
All right. Yay. Awesome. Congratulations to all of our winners. That was really fun. And if the two of you just want to take a moment and kind of plug your stuff again, plug your website. If you have a personal page for your work, like Instagram or a personal website too, you can also talk about that before we kind of sign off to everyone.
Go, Marissa.
What the Seattle?
Plug
Oh,
your-
visit. Well, you want me to talk about the film summit? Visit us
Plug
at the
everything,
Seattle
whatever.
Film Summit.
Everything yourself and the
Girl, this is your stage. Go.
Okay. Let's see. I have my own production company called Sliger Food Creative Media. So you can find us at sfcreativemedia.com or at Instagram at sfcreativemedia. I also am a part of the Japanese American Memorial Pilgrimages, which is jampilgrimages.com, or you can find us on Instagram with the same title. And then I have my personal account, which is on Instagram. I'm Fuji. I am Fuji. That's
awesome.
me.
Very cool. Ben?
I'm really horrible at plugging myself, so I'm just going to say visit Seattle Film Summit. Come be a part of it. You won't regret it. I'm very proud of what this team has done, and this team puts their whole heart into it. Other than that, I will say go vote.
Yes.
Go vote.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Treat each other very, very well, and build your tribe and move forward. Those are all touch points we got on. So thank you guys for having us. I had a great time.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And Justin, do you want to plug your stuff as well?
Oh, I mean, well, yeah, in a couple months, watch Brick Madness, brickmadnessmovie.com. That
Okay.
would be the thing. And go to shoot.stop-video and make a profile. That is the thing for sure that you could do to help yourself out the most. If you were out there and have anything to do with video production in any way, you will find a spot on there and can get hooked up.
And subscribe to these videos on YouTube, because you will find all of these videos on YouTube. And as always, I'm Sarah Marintz, Instagram at Sarah Marintz, and my voiceover website, sarahmarintz.com. So thank you everyone for being here another Wednesday evening for Crew Talk, and we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. You might be looking at Shoot Stop Video and thinking, so how does this all work? Is this about A, setting up the whole crew for me, B, just giving me options and having me handle it, or C, something in between? Well, it's D, all of the above. To put it simply, we're here to help you in any way that we can to get the crew and talent you need for your next production. We believe that every level of video production can benefit from a well-maintained list of qualified crew members for every position. This goes for pre-pro, on-set, and for post. Every project is different, so if you need a producer to help manage the decision-making process, then we can totally do that. If you're already a producer and want to build your own crew from scratch, then go for it. We're here to make your next production a success. And if you are crew or talent looking for producers that want you, then you've come to the right place. Sign up now, and also leave a referral for any solid people that you know that are already on here. Thank you for considering Shoot Stop Video, and happy shooting!